Official documents forged for escape were created inside Florida prisons. How did two convicted murderers allegedly get their hands on forged documents that granted them early release from a Florida prison? It began, authorities say, with one inmate teaching another how to fabricate the legal paperwork. From inside the Franklin Correctional Institution in North Caribbean, south of Tallahassee in Florida's Panhandle, Nashadi trained inmates how to create a legal-looking document with bogus signatures of prosecutors and judges. Gretel Plessinger, a spokeswoman for the State Department of Law Enforcement, told CNN on Wednesday. Nashadi used a similar technique in 2009 to walk away from the Pinellas County Jail before authorities figured out the scheme and recaptured him a day later, according to prison records. He was sentenced to Franklin Correctional, and he became the guy who told everyone how to do this once he was there, Plessinger said. The revelation came the same day that the head of Florida Department of Law Enforcement told state lawmakers that Charles Walker and Joseph Jenkins had helped inside and outside the prison to pull off their elaborate escape. There is a group, again, inside. They work with people outside. Commissioner Gerald Bailey, head of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, told the Appropriations Subcommittee on Criminal and Civil Justice. Neither Plessinger nor Bailey said whether investigators believe Nashadi told the two men directly. He is no longer housed at Franklin Correctional, Plessinger said. She did not say when he was transferred or why. Citing confidential inmate source, Bailey told the panel that the documents were sent out by the prisoners to people on the outside, who in turn filed the bogus document. Walker and Jenkins, both 34, had been serving life terms without parole for unrelated killings at Franklin Correctional Institution when they allegedly escaped. Jenkins walked out September 27, while Walker left October 8. Both used legal-looking documents with bogus reproductions of several key players' signatures, including those of the Orlando area state attorney and Judge Belvin Perry, plus the seal of the Orange County Clerk of Court's office. Both men were recaptured in late October and now face escape charges. Bailey did not identify those who allegedly helped the men, telling lawmakers only that there is a list of suspects. There also is no evidence of employee involvement, he said. State officials have been investigating the scam for about a year and have warned state prosecutors about the schemes over the summer, authorities have said. Authorities have not detailed how the inmates allegedly pulled off the scheme. but the escape has prompted a review of law libraries in state prisons as well as inmate use of computers and processing equipment to make sure we are not giving them too much. Michael Cruz, head of the Florida Department of Corrections, told the committee. State prisons are also strengthening their review of prisoner release, he said. Any future judicial order that changes the release date of an inmate will be verified with the judge who signed it, Cruz said. To date, the State Department of Corrections has reviewed 7,080 of more than 7,800 of more than 9,300 prison release documents for possible fraud. Cruz said, so far, no fraud has been detected, he said. Perry, the judge whose signature was forged, recommended to the legislature that penalties for doctoring and forging documents be increased. Among the evidence authorities have collected in connection with the escape arrest is a cell phone that was seized in prison. Plessinger said. She did not identify whom the phone belonged to, only that it was one of the inmates connected to this gang or group of people. Plessinger did not detail the evidence collected on the phone, saying only, it's been a vital source of information. While Bailey did not specifically address the cell phone during his testimony before lawmakers, he did say investigators were analyzing documents, electronic devices, and a history of calls and text messages to and from Walker and Jenkins. Don't tell Muslim women what to wear. Editor's note: Frida G. Teese is a world affairs columnist for the Miami Herald and World Politics Review. A former CNN producer and correspondent, she is the author of The End of Revolution, A Changing World in the Age of Live Television. Follow her on Twitter. When a police officer demanded that she cover her hair, Amira Osman Ham simply refused. I'm Muslim, and I'm not going to cover my head, she declared. For that, the 35-year-old Sudanese engineer was arrested last August and charged with indecent dress. Now, Ham faces a possible sentence of 40 lashes if a court convicts her when she faced the judge on Monday. Still, she refused to wear a headscarf. Hamid's determination to challenge arbitrary rules restricting women's freedom is part of a wave of energy pushing against those limits, notably but not exclusively in Muslim countries, in Muslim-majority states in Africa, South Asia, the Persian Gulf, and elsewhere. Women are relentlessly demanding more equal treatment. To some, the matter of whether or not to cover one's hair may seem like a trivial issue, but the right to decide what one wears is a basic freedom, and strict rules by the government or by religious authorities dictating women's attire are almost always the tip of the iceberg, the most visible portion of a structure that constricts women's freedom, taking away their right to make other important choices about their own lives. Hemd herself has already pushed back. In 2002, the human rights activist was arrested and convicted under the same law. She paid a fine for the crime of wearing pants in public. In 2009, the ban against trousers snagged the journalist Lubna M. Hussein and 12 other women in a Khartoum restaurant, all wearing slacks. Several pleaded guilty, paid a fine, and were flogged for their crime. Hussein refused. She was so outraged that she sent out invitations to her trial and to her possible flogging. In the end, the Sudanese Journalists Union paid the fine, but Hussein did not waver. Sudanese women, she pointed out, are getting swept up under the infamous Article 152 of Sudan's 1991 Criminal Code, in a country ruled by an Islamist party with its own interpretation of Sharia, Islamic law. The rules are strict but conveniently vague. The statute calls for punishment of up to 40 lashes for anyone committing an indecent act or wearing an obscene outfit. Not surprisingly, the law is used mostly against women. Government figures for 2008 said 43,000 women were arrested for clothing-related offenses in the capital alone, and the cases keep coming. A few weeks ago, police were recorded lashing a woman in the street for getting into a car with a man. The images are chilling. The extraordinary displays of courage from women challenging restrictions on their lives include the case of Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani girl who nearly died after Taliban gunmen shot her in the face, and other young girls like Yemen's Nujud Ali, divorced at the age of 10, and now a campaigner against child marriage, and thousands of others. Nobody, however, has gained the fame of Malala, whose call for girls to receive an education crossed the line for those who think women should remain subservient with society under the full control of men. Her courage frightens the Taliban. Some in Pakistan claim that Malala, now a celebrity, is a product of the West. But these outbreaks of courage, these rumblings for change, are coming from within the Muslim world. Muslim women do not need the West to tell them that inequality and second-class status for women are unacceptable. The rules enforcing inequality are often couched as religious mandate, but they are mostly the product of deeply traditional societies. The societies, however, are changing. Women are part of those societies, and many accept the restrictions, but not everyone is happy with the status quo. Consider Saudi Arabia. In most parts of the kingdom, many women, depending on the regions where they live, are required to cover themselves from head to toe, wearing the niqab, a veil that covers even the face, essentially erasing a woman's identity while she is in public. Most Saudi women are accustomed to wearing it. For now, those demanding change are focusing on other areas. Saudi women thrive under many rules. One of the best known is an unwritten ban on their right to drive. Last weekend, a group of women in Saudi Arabia defied the stunningly anachronistic rule that puts Saudi misogyny in a category of its own. Saudi women have fought for years to gain the right to drive. In 2011, when they thought they might have something like a Saudi Women's Spring, echoing the popular revolutions in the region, activists organized the Women to Drive Day. Many were arrested after they took to the road. Despite the arrest, they tried it again last weekend. Some men raised an outcry, others cheered. Two Saudi men, wearing their traditional red keffiyehs, created an internet sensation with the parody song "No Woman, No Drive," mocking the driving ban with a takeoff on the Bob Marley hit "No Woman, No Cry." The video has had millions of hits, with lyrics that introduce viewers to the absurd logic of the ban, such as one Saudi cleric's contention that driving could damage women's ovaries and threaten their fertility. The inability to drive creates a host of practical problems for Saudi women, problems that make them even more beholden to the whims of men. But other rules are even more offensive, such as the one that prohibits a Saudi woman from leaving the house, working, studying, traveling, even receiving medical treatment without the permission of a male guardian, usually her husband, father, or brother, or even a son. Not all Muslim countries impose terrible restrictions on women, and not all countries with profound inequality between the sexes are Muslim, but the worst countries in which to be a woman, according to the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Report, are almost all Muslim majority states in Africa, the Gulf, and South Asia. Luckily, those are also countries where women are fighting back, pushing to close the gap, armed with the conviction that the restrictions they face are not mandated by their religion, but by social norms that are subject to change. And that change, a call for human rights for all, including for women, is not an invention of the West. It is what a woman like Amira Osman Ham demands when she says she is a Muslim, and she simply will not be told what to wear. Dolphins incognito Martin Mess. Is Coach Philbin to blame? Facing mounting criticism over the alleged behavior of one of his players, Miami Dolphins head coach Joe Philbin says the buck stops with him. "I am in charge of the workplace atmosphere," he said at a news conference. Philbin said he was unaware of alleged misconduct by Richie Incognito against fellow offensive lineman Jonathan Martin until Martin's representatives informed the team Sunday evening. We immediately took those concerns very, very seriously and informed NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to request a review, Philbin said. ESPN also reported that Martin never brought his concerns to Philbin, but many who know the ins and outs of pro football say Philbin should have known what was going on in his ranks and taken action much sooner. The recent developments in the Jonathan Martin Richie incognito situation have shown us one thing. Joe Philbin is to blame for the turmoil in the Miami Dolphins locker room, writes Joe Elkerus of Ransport.com. First and foremost, an NFL head coach needs to know what's going on within his own locker room. If there's a player bullying another player, sending him threatening voicemails and text messages while making him feel uncomfortable on a daily basis, the head coach has to be aware of it. The central allegation against Incognito involves messages to Martin, including a voicemail in which Incognito allegedly used racial slurs, threatened physical violence, and used the words, "I'll kill you." Martin's representatives have turned materials over to the NFL for an investigation. Incognito allegedly also got Martin to contribute $15,000 to help finance a trip to Las Vegas by a group of Dolphins, even though Martin preferred not to travel with them. Martin gave Incognito the money, fearing the consequences if he did not, ESPN reported. Incognito, on Twitter, accused a news organization of attaching my name to false speculation, but that tweet and others were later deleted. According to BleacherReport.com, Incognito has been suspended. Martin left the team. It's unclear what lies in store for either of them. Incognito said Tuesday he is weathering the storm right now. Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin, and the NFL's future. Philbin is ultimately to blame here, Dan Chernoff writes at USA Today. Philbin either actively neglected his team culture, his clan, or he knew and did nothing, which would be worse. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. At best, he is an appallingly ineffective leader. The Sun-Sentinel report that Dolphins coaches had asked Incognito to toughen up Martin, orders he may have taken too far. The report does not say whether Philbin himself met the request. Philbin did tell players each year to cut out rookie hazing, the paper report. But how much are NFL coaches really expected to police their teams? By and large, they let their players, and especially their seasoned veterans maintain harmony in the locker room. Ken Belson writes in the New York Times, in the crudest sense, they are hired to build a winning team, and as long as players do their jobs well, what happens elsewhere is largely immaterial. To some extent, the image from the Asylum, Trevor Pryce, a defensive end who spent 14 years in the NFL, told the Times, the coaches have a lot of other things to deal with. No organization speaks for all NFL coaches. The NFL Coaches Association represents the interests of nearly 500 assistant coaches, according to the website of its executive director, David Cornwell. He was not immediately available Wednesday to discuss this issue. Ricky Williams, who played with Incognito in Miami, said he believes the coach should only step in if behind-the-scenes behavior affects play on the field. The locker room. We keep coaches out for a reason. It's our space. Williams told KGMZ-FM in San Francisco. According to NFL.com, there is a lack of leadership in that locker room, he said of the Dolphins. Some coaches have been credited with taking disturbing behavior seriously. Hall of Famer Bill Walsh's coaching tree never tolerated any form of hazing or harassing. Pete Carroll doesn't allow it in Seattle. Jimmy Johnson and Mike Shanahan have said that they've never witnessed bullying to the extent that is alleged in this circumstance. As the conflict between Incognito and Martin spirals into a time of reckoning for the entire NFL, league officials face the task of laying out in clear terms just what coaches are responsible for, and how to punish coaches when their players cross the line. Philbin has compared running a team to running a school. When his 2 children go to school each day, I have certain expectations that the administration, the teachers, and the staff are going to create a safe atmosphere where my children can learn and develop as people, he said at his news conference Monday. This is no different, he added. I take this responsibility very seriously. But even if Philbin shoulders blame for what allegedly transpired in his team, he's not alone, says columnist Jan Floyd Engel of Foxborough.com. She pointed to others in the team's leadership and the players themselves. It is every person who saw what was happening to Martin and did nothing who deserve our condemnation. Wellington woman breaks silence about years in captivity. A Wellington woman is telling her incredible story about being held captive in her own home for 3 years. Her name is Fozia. At Fozia's request, News Channel 5 has opted not to show Fozia's face or provide her last name. Fozia is afraid of the danger it could bring as she begins a new life of freedom. Palm Beach County, Florida. For 3 years, Fozia said she was held captive in her own home. I really wish for that, she said through an Arabic translator. Fozia, born in Morocco, moved to Florida in 2010, to be with her new husband, Kesam Albert. I love him very much, she said. I love him more than I love myself. Soon after moving to the United States, Fozia was pregnant. Her American dream seemed to be coming true until physical and emotional abuse began. She said, "He got angry and he gets angry very easily," said Fozia. "He loses his temper." Fozia claims that Albert forbid her from leaving their Wellington home, except to take their son to a playground near City Hall. "I would go to the park, sit down and watch my son play and sit and cry," she said. She had no friends, family or